In a world where legends rise and fall with every punch, where the roar of the crowd fades, but the stories live on. This is where those stories are told. This is Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. From the blood, the sweat, and the glory, to the controversies, comebacks, and knockouts, we go behind the ring, no fluff, no hype, and definitely no BS. Just the truth behind the fight game. And we've been doing it for over 2 decades. A podcast pioneer, now a Hall of Famer.
Great. What's that ego gonna be like?
And next, the comeback kid.
Wait, isn't he like 90 or something?
Shut up, he'll hear you. The reigning, defending, undisputed, heavyweight champion of boxing broadcasting. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. And it's on now.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you're watching, whenever you're listening. I hope you're doing okay today. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Ba-Bam, my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Better Mental Plan, is available right now where all good books are sold. And you can get a copy of this book right now while you're watching or listening to this very show. Just go to Amazon.com and search my name or Tom Molyneux. Also, today's show is being brought to us in part by Classic Boats. You want to get a real top-notch classic boat, wooden boat, antique boat, or just one of the top best modern boats, just go to classicboats.co. That's classicboats.co. Today we got a busy show scheduled for you today. First and foremost, I got to give a shout out to my girl, Love It. She's in the chat room right now. Thanks for being numero uno in the chat room. Today's show, I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on the official announcement. Yes, it was made official. I know there was rumors about it a couple months ago, but it was made official. Mike Tyson against Floyd Mayweather. I'll give you my thoughts on it, what I really think. And also, Manny Pacquiao and Ruslan Provodnikov. And Provodnikov has been out for a while, but both of those fights are going down as exhibitions. I'm going to give you the update on the big fight, the big fight. That would be the 4 major sanctioning bodies going up against Dana White and Zuffa Boxing. I got a comparison between Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and who I think will become at least on my list, the all-time great fighter, the better all-time great fighter. And I got breakdowns and predictions on the Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios fight, and another good fight that's taking place this weekend, Lee Wood against Josh Warrington. I got the latest boxing news and much more. But first, let's get caught up on some of the fights that took place. I missed last week's show. I came down with like this 24-hour stomach virus, and I was scared to do this show. I thought I was gonna have to, run out during the show. But anyway, one of the fights I wanted to talk about is my man, Nick the Wrecking Ball got wrecked. Yeah, Brandon Figueroa stopped them. I mean, if you saw the fight, and if you didn't, you should. It was a really good fight. It's in the final round. The bell rings, 32 seconds. Figueroa lands this crushing shot to my man, Nick Ball, as he was coming in, and he just was knocked out. What a fight it was. So check that one out. I was pretty bummed that he lost that fight. But listen, it was a great performance by both fighters, and credit to Figueroa. I'm sure any smart promoter and smart fighter would have a rematch clause, considering that Nick Ball was the champion going in there. I will tell you, he did seem to have a little trouble getting past Figueroa's jab. And then when they exchanged, That's presumably what I would think Nick Ball wanted to do, but Brandon hung right in there. Great fight. If you missed it, definitely check that one out. Christian Medina had been crowned the WBO bantamweight champion, made his first title defense against Adrian Carrell, took place in Mexico. And, at the end of the day, Medina came out on top. It was a successful defense. The way the judges scored it, 120 to 108, 116, 112, 115, 113 for the unanimous decision. I'm thinking about all the extra snow we're going to be getting tomorrow, which sucks. But for Medina, who improves to 27-4 with 19 of his wins coming by knockout, and Carrell drops to 26-7 with a draw, and 5 of his wins coming by knockout. A fight that I wanted to just give you guys an update on because we were lucky to have my man Victor Reynoso on this show. He was the headline on a CES boxing event in Rhode Island, and he came out on top. So I was real happy that he was able to come on the show 2 or 3 days before his fight, and Reynoso improves to 12-0 with 7 knockouts, and he beat Ray Oliveira Jr. I mean, what a good fight it was. Went the distance, 60-54, twice in 59-55, all in favor of Reynoso. In Zuffa Boxing, they had their another one of their cards. This one was the third one. It's going to be easy to keep track of how many cards they have because they number them. This was the Z3 card. Jagba against Charles Martin in this one. And Effie Jagba stopped Martin at 1 minute and 11 seconds of the fourth round to improve to 21 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 15 of his wins coming by knockout. And Charlie Martin, well, he drops to 30 wins, 5 losses, and a draw with 27 of his wins coming by knockout. Some boxing news I want to get you caught up on. It's set. No, I'm not talking about that one yet, but this one's set, and this is a good one. May 9th, it'll be Fabio Wardley going up against Daniel Dubois in Manchester, England, an all-England matchup. I can't wait for it. Fabio Wardley has catapulted to all of the discussion, or at least most of the discussion in the heavyweight division, really, and I'm just calling a spade a spade. I mean, really, he's had 2 good wins in his career, 2. His last one was obviously the one that has really got people talking about him, his win over Joseph Parker. And prior to that, he demolished Frazier Clark, who had, I think he only had 10 pro fights. And before that fight, he drew with he drew stick figures. No, he had a draw with Frazier Clark. So I still think the jury's out on him, but he's the WBO champ. So Daniel Dubois gets another shot at becoming a champion again, because Daniel Dubois lost his title when he fought Usyk, and I think this is going to be a good one. I know Wardley is known for being a knockout puncher. He takes a lot of punishment, which is also good. He's going to need to against Daniel Dubois. Listen, it's a tale of 2 cities with Daniel Dubois, because Dubois, in my opinion, is the guy. He's one of the guys in the heavyweight division. Now, if he fights, he seems to be a fighter that either hasn't found a style that he's comfortable with, or, which I've said before on this show, that maybe he's been rushed a little bit. He's been in some big fights. He's a young guy still. He's been stopped. But if he fights, I think, personally, my opinion, the style he should fight is the style that he fought against Anthony Joshua, where he came in and he reminded me of a young Mike Tyson, and he threw, bombs. Now, granted, Anthony Joshua played into it for him because he stood toe-to-toe with him. and ultimately Daniel Dubois came out on top. Now, Fabio Wardley, I think Daniel Dubois could get Wardley to do the same, stand toe-to-toe with him. And then it's going to be a matter of who's more powerful. It's going to be interesting to see. But I can't wait for that fight. That's taking place May 9th. So make sure you see that one. Here's one that I know at least my main man, Augie in Riverhead, Long Island, is going to be happy to hear that his man, David Morrell, is fighting. That's right. He's taking on, and he's basically a world title fight, April 18th. He's fighting Callum Smith, and this will be taking place in the UK. Callum Smith, 31 wins, 2 losses, and 22 of his wins come by knockout, is taking on Morrell. And Morrell, in case you forgot who David Morrell was, his record is 12-1 with 9 of his wins coming by knockout. That loss came in the hands of David Benavidez, which I thought it was a really good fight. I like this fight. Let me tell you why. First of all, Callum Smith is no spring chicken, and he's been around. He's been in some big fights. He's won a lot of big fights. But this kid, Morrell, he knows how to fight. He's a Cuban fighter. He's a boxer. Remember, when he fought David Benavidez came at him trying to take his head off. And to be honest with you, Cuban fighters aren't really used to that. And the reason why I say that is because in Cuba, they're mostly fighting amateur and, I mean, big level international amateur fights. And the point system is different. And, they're winning on points. They're winning on boxing ability, not so much, pure knockout, punch and entertainment, which, I think most people that are boxing fans enjoy the knockouts. So, when he's stepping in the ring with Benavidez and applying his boxing skill and taking everything Benavidez could give him and landing some power shots of his own, I think he's improved. And, you got Callum Smith, who's kind of a boxer puncher as well. He can box. And when he gets in there, he can lay some leather on his opponents as well. I like the fight because I think Morrell is more refined. In other words, he takes less, the fastest distance between 2 points, right? Well, when Morrell throws and lands his punches, they're coming straight at you. Smith has a tendency to be a little wild, hook his punches. I don't know. I love the fight. Can't wait. April 18th, Callum Smith against David Morrell. There's also, it hasn't been announced yet, but some very reliable sources are saying that Errol Spence Jr. is returning to the ring, and he will be taking on Tim Tszyu. The fight is supposed to be taking place in June. And, because it's a PBC fight, they're going to most likely make it a pay-per-view, which is ridiculous. But, the latest guy to start this ball a-rolling, and when I say this, it's really, okay, this is my segue for the Dana White / Zuffa Boxing versus the 4 major sanctioning bodies, WBC, WBO, IBF, and WBA, for the World Boxing blah, 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 blah. Okay? It's the big fight. Okay? And as you know, I've been talking about the Dana White Zuffa Boxing thing, and I'm supportive of it. I really think that it could work, okay? And I think as time is going on, it's proven that to me. Here's some fuel for the fire. Shakur Stevenson, if you guys recall, let me go back a second. If you guys recall, Terrence Crawford refused to pay the sanctioning fee for the WBC, and ultimately was stripped of his belt. And it became, he said, she said, finger pointing in the world of boxing. And I was kind of surprised at how many people took the side of the WBC. Not yours truly, but a lot of people did. People in boxing, not just boxers. You would think the boxers would too. But nay. Terrence Crawford, being the true champion he always has been, stuck to his guns. And guess what? Shakur Stevenson, with his last, I think, career-defining win, he was stripped of his WBC lightweight title. And why? And this was right after he beat Teofimo Lopez. Now, granted, the Teofimo Lopez fight was junior welterweight, right, or super lightweight, or whichever sanctioning body you're looking at. And the WBC stripped him of the lighter weight, the lightweight one. And they said, oh, well, he's campaigning in that weight class. Initially, they said, the reason is because he's campaigning in the junior welterweight class. And to be honest, Shakur Stevenson never officially announced it. If you recall, prior to the fight, he said he planned on going back down to the lightweight division. But nay, it comes out that, yes, indeed, the reason why the WBC stripped him of his belt was because he didn't pay the sanctioning fee, okay? Now, then it was just announced today that Keyshawn Davis is saying publicly that belts don't matter, okay? Belts don't matter. And he said, and I quote, once you become a superstar, why are you paying for a belt? Why are you throwing your money down the drain? It's like buying a gold chain. It looks good, but so what? And he said he's not trying to basically crap on the WBC, WBA, IBF, WBO bandwagons. He says, but truthfully, you get to a point where the belts don't matter. And I've said that many, many times about some of the all-time great fighters. You think Floyd Mayweather needed to fight for a belt to sell out stadiums, or even Canelo? Canelo can. And speaking of the battle between Zuffa Boxing and the four sanctioning bodies, I told you guys that Jay Apatea signed with Zuffa Boxing. Well, now Jay Apatea and Brandon Gluton is going to be not only fighting in Las Vegas on a future card, but they're also going to be fighting for the first Zuffa Boxing Championship. So this is where it's all starting, okay? Now, Apatea is 29-0, 23 knockouts. Glanton, he's not a bad fighter. I mean, he's ranked. He's 21-3 with 18 knockouts. This is really the first major title fight he has. He's ranked by the WBC at number 8. The WBO has him at number 11. The IBF has him at number 15, and the WBA doesn't have him rated at all. The computer has him at 18. Ring Magazine has him at number 10. He's not rated on the ESPN rankings. And the IBO Top 100 has him as 9. So, I mean, it's a legitimate fight for Jay Apatea, first belt, Zuffa Boxing. And speaking of Zuffa Boxing, to add more to the battle between Dana White and Zuffa Boxing and them going up against the four sanctioning bodies, Zuffa Boxing announced that it's only going to recognize 8 divisions. I love this. Dana is hitting on every single thing that boxing people have talked about over the last 25 years of what's wrong with the sport, all right? And one of them is too many weight classes. Now, why are there too many weight classes, boys and girls? The reason why there's so many weight classes is so that you can crown more champions and sanctioning bodies get more money, right? I mean, look, we all knew it. We all knew that sanctioning bodies get their money from sanctioning fees. And we all crack up about how many effing belts there are around. I mean, a fighter with 10 wins comes walking out. He's got 6 guys carrying belts, and he's already got belts, So, I mean, it's definitely diluted, so that right off the bat, by only going with 8 weight classes. Now, I told you when we did our ratings, we went with 9. We went with the original 8 and cruiserweight. What Zuffa Boxing's doing is they too are going with cruiserweight, but they're eliminating the flyweight. That means the lowest weight fighters who used to be able to compete with a couple of pound differences, like 105, it was a weight class, 108, 112, 115. Now they all have to decide which weight they want to go because bantamweight max is 118 pounds. That's not that crazy. That's not that crazy when you think about it. So I again, I like that. The Jay Apatea Glanton, I don't know if I mentioned, but that fight's taking place on March 8th. That'll be the next card. So we got that fight coming up in a couple of weeks. And we'll have our first cruiserweight champion. And Dana White said, I've talked a lot of smack about the things that I didn't like about boxing. But I also said, if you look at the UFC and not just the success of it, but the sustainability of it, I took everything that I loved about boxing and everything that I hated about boxing, and that's how we built the UFC. So if it works for the UFC, it should definitely work for boxing. We'll see how this all plays out over the next year. But I always just put my head down and we got to do what we got to do and just keep grinding. Well, guess what? I love that approach. And the truth of the matter is not only this is what kills me about the sanctioning bodies. They're all blaming Dana White and Zuffa Boxing for trying to copy the UFC model, but that's exactly what they did. They are trying to copy that model by isolating just the fighters that fight for their belts. It's only been recent, the last half a dozen years, where unification fights were actually the sanctioning bodies worked with each other to make them happen. But as soon as they happen, bam, they strip them. They strip them of those titles. So in addition, Zuffa Boxing is looking to do a show now. This is the one thing. Okay. I do have one knock on Dana White's Zuffa Boxing. Now you got to give him credit. He's on Paramount Plus, right? So he's putting his events in front of millions of eyes, more than the stupid PBC that still does pay-per-views for their shitty fights. And I would love to know the numbers of those fights. But in any event, Zuffa Boxing seems to like the Sunday fight, which I think is, I don't know, man. I don't know if I like fights on Sundays. I love them Saturday afternoons, like watching the fights from the UK and on the other side of the pond. But he's planning one for Easter Sunday and Mother's Day. I mean, does he know something I don't know? I mean, the truth of the matter is that Mother's Day and Easter Sunday. I mean, if you could pick 2 days that it's the most least likely that people are going to watch anything on TV, let alone boxing, wouldn't it be those 2 days? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Shout out to Love It and my man Sean from ADK Gutters. He's in the chat room. My girl Dahlia Duran, all having some talking in the chat room. Some come on over. I just don't get it. He's saying, Sean said the same thing, not on Mother's Day and Easter. Sunday ain't good for boxing. I'm sorry. Dana, I disagree with you on that. Did you catch what he said today? I'm loving this because the sanctioning bodies are panicking. And they should. They really should. But he says, Dana White said, people are asking him how he thinks they're doing, with the first 3 shows. And, he's progressively getting the shows better. He's getting some signed talent, and it looks like he's going to have a couple more pretty soon. And he's being a little more soft on he's not recognizing titles. I'm sure that he's given fighters an opportunity to defend their belts from other sanctioning bodies, but he's not mentioning it in the marketing. And I bet you that in those cases, the fighters definitely have to pay their own sanctioning fees. Hey, listen, you're hearing these stories, with Shakur Stevenson and Terrence Crawford, they had to pay their sanctioning fees. It's not always at that level, yeah, but lower levels. When I promoted shows, I'm telling you, for world title fights, I paid the sanctioning fee, but I wasn't paying millions of dollars like these guys end up paying with some of the purses that they're making. But anyway, Dana White says the boxing world hasn't put up even the slightest resistance in these 3 big boxing events that we did without a more competitive reaction. It's an uneven playing field. We won't even have any significant opposition. And frankly, it's like hitting babies. He says, I feel good, but a little worried because I feel like I'm hitting babies. Traditional companies thought they were going to react and be braver. We didn't think this was going to be easy. We didn't think this was going to be so easy, which makes me very surprised. What he's saying here is that, they had anticipated, once he started doing events, and I think he's patting himself on the back a little hard, because the first 3 events that he had, they weren't all-star events, but I think what they showed us is that he's going to be putting on competitive fights. And I, when you look at what's going on in combat sports, right? Boxing has become, not only is it like, Peyton Place with all the saga you hear, nobody promotes, so the fighters are talking smack on social media, and it's so boring because none of it happens. And then they get into the ring and, they're running around, pussyfooting around, and they're winning on points, and they're always crying robbery. And it's like, it's not entertaining. I don't care how much you try to sell the fact that it's the sweet science and all of this, because all you got to do is start looking at the numbers of different types of combat sports. Obviously UFC, right? But what about these other combat sports that are sneaking up? The bare knuckle boxing. I don't know if you caught it, but they had a big event like their big version of WrestleMania. I was going to say, and the place was sold out. It was in Philly. It was mobbed, and a lot of people are following that. Why? Because it's entertaining. And I think Dana White and Zuffa Boxing are offering an entertaining product. And you watch when they start getting these bigger names. The lower names are fighting each other, or the no names are fighting each other. And, we're seeing better fights. And what's going to happen? I said this from day one, and this is not, listen, it's not rocket science, but it's the truth. If a fighter has to fight tougher opposition on his way up, right? By the time he gets to the top, these Zuffa Boxing / Dana White world champions are going to be the best fighters in their divisions. They're going to be, because they had a tough road to get there. I want to give you an example. There's a fight this weekend, okay, in Atlantic City, and they're promoting this fight. It's Albanian heavyweight Christian, they call him KP Prenga. He's got a record of 19-1, with all of his wins coming by knockout, and he has the 1 loss. He's riding a 15 win streak into this fight. And who's he fighting? He's fighting Joe Jones. And they're billing this guy as the next thing. He's going to be a world champion, all this stuff. 19-0. He's going for his 20th win. Joe Jones, who is he? Joe Jones, 16 wins, 14 losses, 1 draw, 10 of his wins coming by knockout. So, okay, so you say to yourself, all right, so Prenga's being protected, right? Let's take a look at Prenga. He's 35 years old. His biggest win of his 19 Ws was a 15th round stoppage over Joey DeWejko, and that took place in 2024. Now, I give him credit for Joey DeWejko. Joey DeWejko is a tough fighter, and to knock him out in the 5th round, I give him credit for that. But that's it. That's the only credible win that he has on his resume at 19-1. Oh, and who did he lose to? He lost an 8-round majority decision in his 5th pro fight. Now, that's a telltale right there. All right, that's a telltale. So they've been building him up. Now, who's Joe Jones, right? Well, he's 30 years old. Prenga's 35. Jones is 30 years old. He's of his 14 losses, he was stopped 7 times. He lost his last 10 fights in a row. His last fight was a majority decision win over Cleotis Pendarvis. Yeah, that Cleotis Pendarvis. He's been fighting forever. He's 40-something years old. That took place this year, January 26th, so he could get a win so that they would let him fight in New Jersey. All right. Now, my point is I'm not knocking Prenga at all, but my point is that that's what Zuffa Boxing and Dana White are competing against. How entertaining is this fight going to be? And if it is entertaining, and Prenga struggles with his opponent, Mr. Jones, he's going to devalue himself. Look, managers, promoters, whoever's involved with fighters that are doing this, that are not increasing their level of opposition with each fight, are not doing their fighters any favors. All they're trying to do is build up cash value with an undefeated or once or twice beaten fighter to get a big payday and cash out. They don't care about building a fighter. The truth of the matter is if you want to build a fighter that's going to become a champion and stay there for a while, which means making big dollar purses, let them get better. You're not going to get better unless you fight better opposition. I say it all the time. If a football team, the best football team, played the worst football team week in and week out, are they really the best team? Do they get better? I don't know. All right. The circus. Let's start talking circus, right? So Mike Tyson going up against Floyd Mayweather. It's an exhibition. It's set for April 25th. It's in the Republic of the Congo. They're supposed to be doing this to honor the historic Rumble in the Jungle fight that took place in 1974. Listen, it's an exhibition bout. It means that it's not going to go on either one of these guys' records. Now, let's be real. My man Mike Tyson doesn't care about his record at this point. He's put it all in perspective, and it's about making money. Now, Floyd Mayweather, it's always been about making money, but his claim to fame is not losing. So we know kind of how this fight's going to go. The truth of the matter is it's not a fight at all. It's a predetermined fight. I mean, look, I don't need a crystal ball to tell you that what this fight is going to feature is Floyd Mayweather dancing around, trying to get a shot or two in there, and Mike Tyson just trying to plod and get him. And at 60 years old by the time he fights, and Floyd Mayweather, listen, Floyd is 48, so, I mean, it's not like Floyd's in his 30s. But Mike Tyson, 60 years old. We watched him against Jake Paul. We saw him against Roy Jones Jr. Mike Tyson is the, once terror. Now, he reminds me of the George Foreman during the Foreman Grill times, before he, because George Foreman, the first version of George Foreman, he was mean. He was like a Sonny Liston. But anyway, my question to you is: are you going to watch it? Are you gonna watch it? It hasn't been announced if it's going to be on pay-per-view, but I would imagine it will. I know they're going to have a big audience there because, truthfully, I mean, how many fights are happening in the Congo? And no disrespect to anybody, but I mean, how many fights are there? Maybe there's a lot. I don't know. I just haven't heard of them. But to have Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather, two Hall of Famers, be there, I mean, it's going to be a big event there. My question is it going to be a big event here? Are people going to watch it just, because they got nothing else to do? Are they going to pay for it? I personally wouldn't pay for it. I mean, I just wouldn't. I kind of know how it's going to be, and then you turn around, and it was announced today that Manny Pacquiao is returning to the ring in an exhibition against Ruslan Provodnikov, and Provodnikov he's a tough fighter, but let's keep in mind, he hasn't fought in 10 years. His last fight was against John Molina, and I happened to have been ringside. It took place at the Turning Stone, but he's a little closer in age. Manny Pacquiao is 47, Ruslan's 42. I just wonder why. In case you forgot, at least Manny Pacquiao is an active fighter, and he's ranked. He's a ranked fighter right now in the sanctioning bodies. He's a ranked fighter. All right, he's fighting an exhibition. I don't know. Many people thought he beat Mario Barrios in that fight, and he was robbed of a piece of history. I'm shocked that he's doing an exhibition. But maybe it's just the way it was in the old days, in a sense. Maybe he just, isn't trying to rip off the public by saying it's a real fight. And people are still going to pay him, and they won't criticize for whichever way it comes out, which I would assume Manny Pacquiao wins the fight. But Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather, what a joke, man. It's a joke. I can't call the Pacquiao-Provodnikov a joke fight. I can't. It's an exhibition. They're both exhibitions, but that one just seems like it might be a little more watchable if you wanted to watch an exhibition. I'm not so much into exhibitions personally, but Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather. Listen, nobody loves Mike Tyson more than me. I mean, to me, he was, one of the best that I got to see. Every time he fought, it was an event. I mean, I was just talking to my man Alex Papali the other day, and he was reminding me that it was the anniversary of the biggest, one of the biggest upsets in the sport of boxing when, Mike Tyson got knocked out by Buster Douglas in Tokyo. And, I'll never forget that fight. I was so crushed by that. I actually was on vacation where I live now, and I was at a hotel with my kids with babies, and we're watching it. And when he lost, I basically said to my wife, we packed up everything and left. My vacation was cut short. I mean, I was devastated. And you want to hear something? I've never watched that fight again since then. I've watched I've seen some pieces of it. They were doing Colonel Bob was getting some recognition, for his accomplishments. And I was watching a replay of his call of that fight. And so I did watch a couple of the rounds. But I have never been able to watch that fight again. That's how much I loved Mike Tyson. So, what I'm saying is not a knock on Mike Tyson at all. But it's a money grab. And the thing that bothers me is Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather, I mean, it's a money grab for him too. But he doesn't challenge himself, which brings me to this. We've talked a lot about, over the years, many people have talked a lot about it, but we have on this show specifically the Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather all-time great spot. All right. And, I have always said that I thought that Manny Pacquiao would finish above Floyd Mayweather in the all-time great list, at least on mine. And the argument people always gave me was that Floyd Mayweather beat Manny Pacquiao, which is, a legitimate, argument. They also throw the 50-0 record at me. And the latest trend is that people tell you how many world champions Mayweather beat, which really doesn't really matter because they give belts away. There's more belts being given away than good and plenty's on Halloween. But let's take a look at these two guys real quick. And I'm not gonna. We all know the history. Manny Pacquiao, 8 division world champion, 62 wins, 8 losses, 3 draws. Of his 8 losses, he was stopped 3 times, and of his 62 wins, 39 wins coming by knockout. Who did he lose to? In February 1996, he got stopped in the 3rd round by Rustico Torrecampo. In September 1999, he got stopped in the 3rd round by Boonsai Sangsurat. Then he started moving up in weight. And I think that's when, we all started getting to know Manny a little more. In May of 2005, he lost a 12-round decision to Eric Morales. In June of 2012, he lost a 12-round, very controversial split decision to Timothy Bradley. He was stopped viciously in December of 2012 by the hands of Juan Manuel Marquez. He lost to Floyd in May of 2015. He lost to Jeff Horn, which was kind of a weird fight. I thought he won that fight, but he didn't win it decisively, and he was in Jeff Horn's hometown, and then in August of 2021, he lost a 12-round decision to Ugas, and pretty much everybody thought his career was over. When you start looking at his big wins, now I'm gonna what I'm calling big wins are against top-notch opposition, and they were all, you could say, at each time that he got one of these fights that I'm going to be telling you that they were career defining at that time, at that moment. And then all of a sudden he got another one. And there's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of them that I think. So first and foremost, he had Marco. Actually, there's more than that because there's at least 14, because Marco Antonio Barrera, he stopped him in the 11th in one fight, and he won a decision in the second fight. Eric Morales, he stopped him, and I told you he lost to him, but he also stopped him the other 2 times he fought him, once in the 10th and once in the 3rd. Jorge Solis, he stopped in the 8th round. He beat Juan Manuel Marquez twice, 2 decisions, but he did get stopped in that one. He destroyed Ricky Hatton in 2. He beat David Diaz in 9. He won a 12-round decision over Sugar Shane Mosley. He beat up Antonio Margarito 12 rounds there. Same thing he did to Cotto, Brandon Rios, Timothy Bradley, Thurman. I mean, all big wins. He also had did he be he's had some other ones. Those, to me, those were the biggest ones that he had. Now when you look at Floyd's big wins, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In my opinion, he's got 8. So you got 16 of the fights I just said big wins for Pacquiao. Here's 8 for Floyd Mayweather Jr. Diego Corrales, he stopped in the 10th round in January 2001. Oscar De La Hoya in May of 2007. He stopped Ricky Hatton in the 10th round, December 2007. He beat Juan Manuel Marquez September 2009. He beat Mosley in May of 2010. Cotto in May of 2013. Canelo in September 2013. And Manny Pacquiao in 2015. A lot of the names were the same, and they were both big wins for Floyd as well. He's 15-0 with 27 knockouts, but two of those wins were extremely controversial. The first controversial fight that many thought that he lost was his first fight against Jose Luis Castillo, which was fought in December of 2002. He avenged that fight. But that first one, he definitely, you could make an argument that he lost it. And the other one is, there's three. The other one is Oscar De La Hoya's fight in May of 2007. I personally think he squeaked it out. A lot of people think that Oscar won. And the only reason why I think he squeaked it out is because Oscar stopped. He stopped throwing punches because Nacho Bernstein in the corner was telling him, "You're so far ahead, don't worry about it. Take these rounds off," and ultimately it sunk him. And the first Maidana fight, a lot of people, I thought Maidana won that first fight. I really did. So, I mean, there's three fights right there that Floyd got gift wins. When you look at them, these two guys, I think that the telltale for me that makes me put Manny Pacquiao above Floyd Mayweather is the impact, the excitement impact, the entertainment value. I can't, there's not a fight unless you go back to some of the early fights where you really have to read the names to remember the fight, because I can't remember, entertaining Floyd Mayweather fights. I'm sorry. It just wasn't. Well, you could say the Gotti fight, because he knocked him out. You could say, people say Victor Ortiz, but that was a sucker punch. Gotti, he was, way bigger. Everything was calculated. Baldomir fight, Baldomir was 104 years old. That was the easiest title at the time. Even Zeb Judah, all names, but they were all fought at a time where, I just think when it's all said and done, Manny Pacquiao will finish on most people's all-time great list, will finish higher than Floyd Mayweather. Okay, a couple of fights I wanted to talk about, break down, go over, all that happy stuff. There's a really good fight on both of these fights, actually. I guess you can get on DAZN. I think the Garcia fight is going to be available on DAZN and maybe Amazon Prime. I'll get to that in a second. Amazon Prime. But this first fight I wanted to talk about is a really interesting fight. It's Josh Warrington going up against Lee Wood. These are two British fighters. Now, it's remarkable how identical their careers are, really, and they fought each other once before. It's pretty interesting because Lee Wood beat Josh Warrington. Well, let's start off. Lee Wood, he's 28 wins, 4 losses, with 17 of his wins coming by knockout. Of his 4 losses, he was stopped 3 times. He was stopped by, now remember these names because this is where it gets really similar. He was stopped in the 9th round by Anthony Kakachi. He was stopped in the 7th round. These are his 4 losses. He was stopped in the 7th round by Mauricio Lara. He was stopped in the 6th round by Gavin McDonnell. And he lost by decision to Jazza Dickens. All right, so his 4 losses were against all very good opposition, stopped 3 of the 4 times. Of his 28 wins, 17 of them are coming by knockout. He's 37 years old, 5'7", 67-inch reach, which happens to be identical to Josh Warrington. He's got 32 fights. Like I said, the computer ranks him at number 11. He's not rated by any of the four major sanctioning bodies, the WBC, the WBO, the IBF, or the WBA, or the Ring, or the ESPN. But interesting enough, the IBO's top 100 computer system, which I think is the most accurate, that has him at number 8. Some of his big wins that he had were Michael Conlon, who was undefeated at the time, a highly regarded contender. He beat him by a 12th round stoppage in 2022. He also avenged his 7th round knockout loss to Mauricio Lara. He beat Lara in May of 23 via a 12-round decision. And he stopped his opponent, he's fighting this weekend, Josh Warrington, in the 7th round in October of 23. So, I mean, and he fought and lost in his last fight against Kakachi in May of last year. So he's got some decent wins, and he's got some similar losses, because when you take a look at Josh Warrington, his record is 32 wins, 8 of his wins coming by knockout, and 4 losses, just like Lee Woods, and 2 of his losses came by stoppage. He lost the 7th round stoppage that, like I just said, to Lee Wood. He lost a 9th round stoppage to Mauricio Lara, same guy who beat Wood, but Wood avenged it. And he had a majority decision loss to Luis Alberto Lopez, and a 12-round decision loss to Anthony Kakachi, same as Lee Wood. He's 35 years old. He's the younger one in this fight, because Lee Wood is 37. Same height and reach, 5'7" and 67-inch reach. He's got a 25% knockout ratio. Lee Wood is much bigger with a 60, almost a 61% knockout ratio. The computer ranks Josh Warrington at number 51. He's not rated by the WBC, WBO, or IBF, or the WBA, Ring Magazine, or ESPN. The IBO Top 100 computer system has him at number 46. His big wins, he's got a 12-round decision over Lee Selby back in 2018. He beat Carl Frampton. Frampton was 26-1, and he won a 12-round unanimous decision in 2018. He also beat, at the time, undefeated Kid Galahad. I used to love Kid Galahad. Split decision loss in 2019. He's also got a 7th round stoppage of Kiko Martinez when he won the World IBF World Featherweight Championship, and then he lost it in his next fight against Luis Alberto Lopez. So, he's seemingly a more accomplished fighter. Now, who's going to win this fight? I think this is a tough one to pick, to be honest with you. I think in this particular case, I would normally go with the younger guy who has the better pedigree, and that's Josh Warrington. However, I think that the kryptonite for Josh Warrington is punching power, and Lee Wood clearly has more pop than Warrington. And at 37, he's not going to lose the pop. My only worry about Lee Wood is that he has no spring in his step, and he'll be plodding around. And if Josh Warrington's sharp, he'll pick him apart. But my official prediction is Lee Wood over that one. All right, now, the biggest fight of the weekend, Ryan Garcia is challenging Mario Barrios for his world title. Mario Barrios is 29 wins, 2 losses, 18 of his wins coming by knockout. Of his 2 losses, he has one of them by knockout, and that came to the hands of Tank Davis in June of 2021. And he lost a 12-round unanimous decision to Keith Thurman in 2025. I don't remember that fight at all. I wonder if I missed. Let's see. Is that? Yeah, 2022. I can't even read my own writing. He lost a 12-round decision to Keith Thurman in 2022. I was going to say, Keith Thurman, he has when does he fight recently? Anyway, he's got 2 draws. They've been back to back, and they were both title defenses. And his last one was the majority draw win that he had against Manny Pacquiao in July of last year, and the year before a split decision draw to Abel Ramos. So really, he's had this title, and he's trying to defend it, and he gets draw, so he doesn't lose it, but he's not winning it either. 30 years old already. It seems like yesterday when this kid was starting out. 62% knockout ratio. Like I said, his last 2 title defenses were draws. The WBC has him as their world welterweight champ, so he's not ranked by any of the other sanctioning bodies. The computer, surprisingly enough, has him ranked at number 24. I was a little surprised to see that, to be honest with you. Ring Magazine has him at number 2. ESPN has him at, Ring Magazine has him at number 9. ESPN Mag has him at number 2. And the IBO Top 100 has him at number 9. So to me, he's definitely better than the computer system has. He's got some decent wins. Ugas he beat. But the big names that he fought, he lost to in Keith Thurman, and then the draws and then, of course, getting stopped by Tank. But the 2 draws to Ramos and Pacquiao. So he steps in the ring with Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia is a tough nut to crack. He's 24 wins, 20 come by knockout, 2 losses, 1 by knockout. His last fight was a 12-round unanimous decision loss to Raleigh Romero, and Romero beat him in May of last year. The fight that he lost before that was a 7th-round knockout loss at the hands of Tank Davis in April of 2023. The computer has him ranked at number 21. The WBC has him ranked at number 4. He's not ranked by anybody else, the WBA, the WBO, the IBF, Ring, or ESPN. And the IBO Top 100 has him at number 14. So rankings-wise, for both of these guys, they're all over the place. Ryan Garcia, he's been his own worst enemy. But when he's on, he's good. His fight that was changed to a no contest, no decision against Devin Haney, I thought it was his best performance. I know people can say, yeah, well, he was on steroids. Well, I don't know enough about steroids, to be honest with you, but the trace that they found him, I just think it became a political thing because of the Haneys. I thought that was his best decision, but best fight. He also has wins over Oscar Duarte. He stopped him in the fight before the Devin Haney fight in 8 rounds. He lost to Davis in the fight before that, but he had wins over Javier Fortuna and Luke Campbell. Campbell in 21 and Fortuna in 22, both by knockout. Who's going to win this fight? Well, I think that Ryan Garcia is like a cat. And I don't mean his reflexes like a cat. I mean he's got as many lives as a cat. And I think that, this is a guy, it's almost like he's following the path of Victor Ortiz. Victor Ortiz did the same thing, then had some, breakdowns, let's just say. And, his performances weren't there. And then he came back and, after devastating losses, sometimes fighters just aren't the same. I think we're going to see that question answered in his fight against Mario Barrios. I'm not bailing on the 27-year-old Ryan Garcia just yet. As a matter of fact, I think he's taken this fight very seriously, and he knows that if he can get by Mario Barrios, that he's going to be in line for a big money fight against whoever. So I think Ryan Garcia is going to win the fight. I think Mario Barrios does enough sometimes to win, or does enough to not lose. But I think Ryan Garcia is going to do enough to win, and I wouldn't be surprised if Barrios gets stopped, maybe on cuts, maybe he's taken too much punishment. But I'm picking Ryan Garcia in that one. I'm looking forward to that fight, boys and girls. I really am. Some other news just to touch on. I don't know if you are keeping up with it, but this Golden Boy Virgil Ortiz manager lawsuit's getting kind of ugly, both pointing the fingers. Basically, Oscar De La Hoya's team is saying that the manager is actually sabotaging them and preventing them from, getting deals done and actually, costing both sides money. And then now to add to that, Virgil Ortiz is pushing forward with his. So we'll see what happens with that saga. Okay, so you guys know I'm not a big PBC, fan. They're the only ones that are still really killing us all with pay-per-views. And I put an asterisk next to that really because the Zone, if you bought the swank, the top of the line deal for boxing, it's $45 a month. You're getting all of these fights, and I bit the bullet and I did it. And you know what? It's the best thing I did, because if you like boxing, because they have them all. They have all the fights, and so I'll be able to watch that. What I won't watch is a PBC event because, when you look at Jake Paul and you look at, Dana White and you look at these guys that are cutting deals with Netflix and Paramount, and, basically what they're doing is, they're cutting deals with these so we can watch as long as we subscribe. Okay, we subscribe, right? But the PBC is they're still trying to fleece the fans. They're still trying to do it. So they're on Prime, right? Prime Video. But guess what? It doesn't matter if you're a Prime subscriber. You still got to pay for it. They're not going to get good buys. And I'm talking about the Thurman against what's his name? The Sebastian, the Towering Inferno. I forgot his nickname. Sebastian, the Towering Inferno Fundora. Thurman doesn't stand a chance against Fundora, not because Fundora is so great, but he's so tall. And come on. Thurman was a light switch. He just wasn't. He didn't live up to everything he says he is. That's the main event. But they announced a decent heavyweight fight that I am interested in. Frank Sanchez against Richard Torres. That's a good fight, but it's not worth me paying for it. I'll tell you that. The bare knuckle boxing, I was talking about that earlier, and that Paulie Malignaggi is signed with them, and they're getting some other fighters to sign. And this is why I'm saying that I think that the boxing that we used to know with the sanctioning bodies is in trouble. I think we're leaning more towards real fights. I think that's what the fans are finally standing up and saying that they want, and they're not going to back down from it. And I think that the signings of these bare knuckle fighters, these names, like I mentioned, Paulie Malignaggi, but Lee Selby just signed, and he's going to be fighting. And they got some good guys. Yuriorkis Gamboa is involved with it now. So they're getting some names, and they're worldwide names. So this is a traveling thing. I like it. You remember when we were talking about Gervonta Davis a couple of weeks ago when he got arrested in Miami? He was trying to hide or whatever. Well, he posted bond or whatever, and he gets back, and they arrested. They put a warrant out for him again in this time in Baltimore for a warrant that he had. So I mean, he's just. I don't understand why he doesn't just take care of everything, so he doesn't have to keep being on the run. You know what I mean? And speaking of Gervonta Davis, calling him out. Lamont Roach Jr. and Sr. said that Gervonta Davis, just like they beat him up, they're calling out Shakur Stevenson, and they're using the fight against Gervonta Davis, even though Davis ended up getting a very controversial draw in that fight. They're saying we'll do the same thing to Shakur Stevenson. But Shakur, hey, he's there. Shakur's for sure. But anyway, listen, next week, I missed the show with the stomach virus, so Emily Harney has been rescheduled. She's going to be joining us next week. If you don't know who Emily Harney is, well, anytime you're on the internet and you see a really great boxing picture, chances are Emily Harney's the one that took the shot. So we'll have her on the show the week after. Mike Silver, we had to juggle everybody around. Mike Silver is going to come on and talk about his new book, When in Doubt, Stop the Bout. And we'll be talking about some other stuff. You're not going to want to miss the Mike Silver interview. I'll tell you that right now. And I just found out today, after that, we're going to have my girl. I love her, Amelia Moore. Remember, we had her on the show last year, and she was she's a real smart girl, and she's fighting for a world title. So I'm real excited to have her back. So great lineup of guests coming up, and we'll keep them coming. We'll keep you posted on that. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and I want to remind you, make sure you tune in next week, same bad time, same bad channel. Until then, I'll leave you with this. Ciao, baby.